media.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to The Fringe. Jagmeet Singh has lost his mind. That's it. That's the video. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. No, look, we got to go into details. The NDP have come out in full force to essentially request that they want open work permits for temporary workers. I'm sorry, but in the dictionary under redundant, doesn't that say redundant? You want open access for temporary foreign workers. So doesn't that make them not temporary? I don't know. We're going to get into that. But first I want to show this video that came over from True North. NDP leader Jagmeet Singh says he expects Prime Minister Justin Trudeau to publicly condemn President-elect Donald Trump's proposed policies, warning that Trump's plans will hurt the workers in Canada and the U.S. and people in Ukraine and Gaza. What essentially Jagmeet Singh's talking about here is we won't be able to launder our money anymore. We won't be able to pump up our bank accounts. We won't be able to worry about our golden parachutes anymore because common sense has returned to the land, and it's soon to return to Canada in the next federal election. This guy is the textbook definition of a sellout. We all know that. Let's take a listen to what he says here as he tries to cope and seethe. Yesterday, he was whining about Donald Trump winning the election. I know a lot of people are saying, what does this have to do with him and temporary foreign workers? Well, they're losing their minds. They're absolutely losing sanity. This is going to be the next 4 years, whether you put up with American politics or not. This is the next 4 years. People complaining like this for nothing because it does nothing more than distract from their corruption. Let's take a listen.
Clarify in English. Can you please clarify? Last time around, we saw a Team Canada approach that included bipartisan work in response to Donald Trump's first presidency. What are you expecting this time? Has the Liberal government asked you to take any role? And what do you want to see them do concretely to respond to Mr. Trump?
Well, I expect the Prime Minister will come out and state clearly that Donald Trump's plans are wrong. The fact that he has proposed an across-the-board tariff is wrong. That's going to jack up the price of everything. It's going to hurt workers in Canada, and it's going to hurt workers in the United States. It's going to mean increased costs for everybody. So I want to see the Prime Minister come out clearly and say that's wrong. That's a bad plan. That's going to hurt people.
Do you have national security concerns with a transition to a Trump White House? Given the relationships we know some of the people around Donald Trump have to Vladimir Putin, are the national security considerations different now going forward?
Certainly. There's a lot of concerns. When I said that his plans are going to hurt people, I think about all the people that could be hurt. I think about Ukraine and Trump administration's approach to Ukraine. I think about Gaza and the fact that if we saw a emboldened Netanyahu who was engaged in a campaign of violence and genocide against the people of Gaza, imagine what that's going to be under a Trump administration with even further supports to engage in that type of activity. I'm deeply worried about what this means across the world, the threats to people's lives and the instability that this could cause. And I think it's more important than ever for Canada to work with our allies to ensure that we are bringing a voice for peace, for diplomacy, and continuing to call for a ceasefire and the release of hostages when it comes to Gaza, to continue to call for Ukraine to be able to defend itself against the aggressions of Russia, and to make sure that we are doing everything possible to create a peaceful future.
Can you clarify?
So I'm going to cut it off right there because what I want to point out are two things that he said in that statement that make him the world's largest hypocrite. One, he says we have to worry about an emboldened Yahoo that essentially is going to disrupt the way the world's working. What about the emboldened Yahoo who's holding Canada hostage in order to get his pension? What about that guy, Jagmeet? What about? Are we going to talk about that elephant in the room? Are we going to address that? Obviously not. The other thing he says is that we have to stick with our allies here. Isn't the United States one of our largest allies in the world? I mean, they're our neighbors to the south. Everything that they do affects Canada. We should be sticking with the United States more than ever right now. Again, Jagmeet Singh coming out saying he's essentially filibustering for Justin Trudeau to come out and condemn Donald Trump, I guess, because, well, it's going to hurt Canadians. It's going to hurt their ability to launder money to other countries, to dictatorships. You know, why help Canada's economy when they can, you know, cede money to other countries? It brings me to this article that I want to talk about. Thank God for Mrs. Fringe, who found this and sent it my way. Shout out to Mrs. Fringe. The NDP is now calling on the federal government to allow open work permits for temporary workers. Now, we've seen coverage from Redacted. We've seen coverage from Rebel News, from all over when you talk about Brampton, when you talk about the Maritimes, when you talk about places that are flooded with temporary foreign workers taking jobs of... and people always argue, and I'll point it out, that, hey, these are the jobs nobody wants. Well, the jobs aren't available for our youth. They're not available for anybody who's struggling with the economy right now, who says, maybe I want to pick up a second job. Maybe I want to find a way to put food on the table. Well, they can't, because temporary foreign workers have taken over, not to mention in the trucking industry. You've got all these guys in the trucking industry now that are taking over from normal, hardworking Canadian citizen jobs. I'm going to go through this article here, and we'll just take a look at how bananas this is. A parliamentary committee is calling on the government to change how it handles permits for temporary workers after a UN report said that the system creates a breeding ground for contemporary forms of slavery. It doesn't destroy our housing market. It doesn't help with inflation. It doesn't help with the general poor who can't get jobs. No, it's slavery, guys. We're bringing people over and taking advantage of them. There's a simple solution to that. Stop bringing them over. The Citizenship and Immigrant Committee released on a report on Wednesday, calling on Ottawa to work with the provinces to establish permits that allow temporary workers to find work in a specific region or sector. The main reason for this, folks, is voting. They want to solidify them into citizens so they can get their votes. They can pander to them. That's all this is. It's control. They always want control. Follow the money. Right now, most temporary workers have closed permits that tie them to a single employer. Well, yes, that's how the system works, because they're here temporarily. The committee's report found that the system creates conditions that can lead to exploitation and abuse, of Canadian citizens. NDP's Jenny Kwan and Matthew Green say that the government needs to take a step further by allowing all temporary workers access to open work permits in an effort to prevent abuse. The reality is, if you're tied to one specific employer, you really are at the behest to do what they demand of you, Kwan said, no matter what the abuse is, no matter if you're faced with wage theft, harassment, with violence for women, with sexual harassment, you have to live with it. Oh, I'm sorry. Have you guys heard of any of this happening? Have you heard about temporary foreign workers coming over here being tied to a specific business? Well, they mash their hands together and we're going to harass these people. We're going to SA these people. We're going to, give me a break. What a straw that is to grasp. She said that at least the federal government can curb the abuse in the temporary worker system is end the closed work permit system. Again, this is nothing more than to open up loopholes for them to exploit people, especially Canadians. They want Canadians to be powerless. They want Canadians to be overrun. The committee is also recommending increasing the number of unexpected on-site workplace inspections and developing a plan to provide more permanent residency pathways to low-wage and agricultural workers. Again, permanent residency being the case of what I was getting at. This is a push to say, come on in. It's okay. We know, crime's at record highs. We know inflation's at record highs. We know people can't afford to live. People can't buy houses. People can't pay their bills. But just come on in anyways. Come live in a tent. Sorry, come get $9,000 a month from the government while others live in a tent. More than half of the workplace inspections take place virtually, according to the report. These inspections uncovered 36% increase in non-compliant employers in the last fiscal year, resulting in more than $2 million in fines. The vast majority of employers were found to be in compliance with program rules. The solution's easy here. Stop bringing in foreign workers then. Elizabeth Kwan, a senior researcher for the Canadian Labour Congress and no relation to MP Kwan, testified during the committee's hearings. She said the recommendations tinker at the edges of problems like worker abuse. Again, this is the first I'm hearing of that. The system discourages employers from improving job quality like wages and working conditions and investing in technology. What it does is that it allows the continued reliance on underpaid and vulnerable workers, she said. I got news for you. People were underpaid and undervalued long before temporary foreign workers came. That's what's called a minimum wage job. Am I the only one am I taking crazy pills here? They're saying that this is all because of temporary people. This is the same thing that just because somebody comes from somewhere else, it's automatically racist. It's automatically wrong. People were treated like shit long before temporary foreign workers. The government is making changes to the temporary worker program, most recently focused on making it harder for employers to get applications approved to hire temporary workers. Well, that's because Justin Trudeau has to backpedal on his open border policies in order to try to save his behind. It's not going to work. It's not going to happen. It says here those changes take effect Friday, raising the minimum for high wage applications to 20% above a province or territory's hourly wage. In an emailed response, Immigration Minister Mark Miller's press secretary Renee Proctor said that the government will provide a response to the report within the requested 120-day period. On work permits for temporary foreign workers, our government is looking into a new sectoral permits to improve the system and make it work better for temporary foreign workers and employers, she wrote. Again, nothing better for Canadians who are here, Canadians who are being mistreated, Canadians who are paying 40% of their checks to taxes. No, we're not going to help any of those people, just the ones that we want to bring in so that they vote for us, they keep us in office, and we can continue stealing your money and laundering it to other countries. This is my point, ladies and gentlemen. The NDP have straight up lost their minds. Jagmeet Singh and his cohorts are completely wacko and Looney Tunes. This is appalling. Every Canadian who stands for Canadian values, who stands for hard work, who stands for the pursuit of happiness. I know that's an American term, but you should all be appalled at this. That they're bending rules to help those that they give thousands of dollars in cutbacks and kickbacks to every month in order to appease them so that they can get their votes. Again, it has nothing to do with us. It has nothing to do with better conditions for them. It's all backdoor benefits for the NDP and the Liberals for changing those policies. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. If it's your first time here, I hope this video has earned your subscription. Make sure to hit that button because we're so close to 50,000 subscribers, folks, and hit your bell for notifications. Join me live here on the channel tomorrow night and every Friday night for Friday Night Fringe, our live streaming show where I sit down with the very beautiful Mrs. Fringe, my wife, and we go over everything that's going on this week in politics, everything that's coming up in the week ahead, as well as some back and forth within the YouTube community. We have the absolute best community on this platform, hands down. There is no comparison. And if you want to join that community, you should come on in. We're always happy to hear what you guys have to say and ask each and every Friday here on the channel, starting at 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, every single Friday. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and have a great rest of your day. I'll catch you on the next one.